we'll just make a start. So, as I say, I work for Outdoor Recreation Northern Ireland, and we are the organisation that are delivering on the marketing of the project for the International Appalachian Trail Ulster Ireland segment. So to give you, first of all, a little bit of context, I'll tell you a little bit about the trail itself, and then I'll pass over to Lisa from the council, Lisa Kirkwood, who is extremely familiar with the layout of the trail on the ground, and she'll give you a little bit of an update on the capital works that have been taking place along the route. And then we'll have another presentation from myself, and it'll be very short. It's actually split between me and another officer at Outdoor Recreation, where it just talks about the servicing of visitors to the IAT Ulster Ireland, and sort of what you can expect them to want, and what they can expect, or what they tend to expect from our experience, and the type of visitor that you will see. So the project itself, I suppose, is worth explaining. The council and lag areas along the trail were successful in getting funding through a north-south rural development programme. And to give you a little bit of context of the trail itself, it was the Ulster Ireland segment of the IAT was launched in August 2013, and it's a continuation of one of the largest trail networks in the world, that stemming from the Appalachian Trail in America. The Appalachian Trail itself, just basically put simply, follows a mountain range that existed 250 million years ago, when all of the Earth's continents were in one sort of supercontinent. They obviously broke apart. The mountain range sort of disappeared into what is now 23 different countries. And yeah, the biggest section of that is in the United States, and it's the best known, starting in Georgia and running to Maine. The international aspect of the Appalachian Trail started in 1984. A guy, Dick Anderson, basically knew the history of it and thought it would be a good idea to continue the trail into these other countries. And that's essentially how it was born. It started in Canada, the connection between the two countries there. There was some political fanfare about how it like breaches borders and all that there. So it was very popular in Canada, and it's just sort of progressed from country to country. And as I say, there are now 23 sections, of which the Ulster Ireland section is one of them. The trail has been given a significant amount of investment in the last year to carry out sort of two elements of work. The first is the bit that Lisa will tell you about. It's a range of trail improvements that'll be carried out in each individual area that the trail runs through. And then the other half is the part that Outdoor Recreation are involved in, and that's the marketing project to raise awareness of the trail to both people locally and to the international visitors. When it was launched in 2013, it was a great addition to the sort of the walking roster for Northern Ireland and Donegal, but there was very little actual marketing to tell people about it. So if you ask the average person on the street today, have you heard of the International Appalachian Trail? They'll say no, and that's a very specific thing that we want to target. We want to, even if people aren't going to be walking it every day, we want them to understand that it's there and make sure that it's an option for them. So at the minute, the marketing campaign is in the sort of content gathering stage. We have done 12 days of photography throughout the whole range, which has been just a delightful part of my job, where I'm not in front of the computer screen, going out with a photographer and getting pictures along the whole trail. And we're also doing a promotional video, a marketing guide, and that sort of thing. We're tying in with different elements of the International Appalachian Trail community abroad, and there's quite a lot of interest at the minute coming from America, to the point where a couple of the Appalachian Trail guys are coming over for our national launch, I believe, in November. But anyway, we're at a stage where at the minute we want to sort of engage with yourselves, essentially with local businesses and people that deal with the visitors that we're trying to attract. And we want to basically to engage to see how you can service those visitors and get involved with the campaign. But also, and it's very much something we've learned from doing webinars in the last couple of nights, We want your feedback for things that we haven't thought of. So last night, for example, or 2 nights ago, we were doing Fermanagh and Omagh, where I'm actually from, and I still hadn't considered something that one of the accommodation providers had brought up in terms of how we wanted to get walkers off the trail to a major attraction that was nearby. So as you're listening to us tonight there, by all means, feel free to come up with questions. We might not have the answers here now, but we will look into it. We really just want to create the best product. The International Appalachian Trail Ulster Ireland segment, we want that to be the best product it can possibly be, and that comes with engaging with as many people as possible. So I will. The final presentation at the end I forgot to mention is from a girl called Eve Nicholson. She's part of the Wales Coastal Path marketing team. She's pre-recorded her presentation, but she has included her email address. So if anybody has any questions about the Wales Coastal Path, is one of the biggest, most popular walking routes in GB. And if anyone has any questions about how businesses interact with walkers along that route, because again, it's a very rural route by and large, then you can email her directly, or you can ask us. Lisa, if you are free, I will hand over to you and let you just give everyone a rough outline of maybe where the trail comes into Mid and East Antrim, and sort of the capital works that have been taking place over the last wee while.
Yeah, no problem, Ethan. Hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Outdoor Recreation Officer for Mid and East Antrim Borough Council, so I kind of deal with access and rights of way, and in the summer get to play in the water and go for walks with Robert and take him away from Helen for the night. So basically the majority of the route in Mid and East Antrim Borough Council follows the Ulster Way route. So it comes, when you think about the IAT, the way it's been marketed is coming in at Donegal and leaving through Larne through the port. And so it comes in to us at on the coast road, the link from Glenara Waterfoot into Carnlough. So it goes along obviously the Garn Road, Bay Road. Then we bring you inland a bit through Straight Killy, and then that ties in with the Straight Killy Walk, which ourselves and Causeway Coast and Glens Heritage Trust developed about 3 years ago with Glenarm Estate there. So it's a nice wee off-road section. It's not sort of easy to walk. Mary might be able to explain that one. She was there for the lunch. And then you're back into Glenarm village, then through the village, turning right up to Tober Main Street, and then up through Altmore Street, and then following up to Feiston Road, and then off-road on, that's the only really off-road section apart from Shea Kelly, goes across the Antrim Hills from Feiston, and you come back down at Ballycoos Road at the Headless Cross car park, or Linford Barrows, whichever you want to prefer to call it. Then you're down Ballycoos into Cairncastle, down Weyburn Road, down into Daffodil Lane at the back of Carnfunnock and Ballygally, through Carnfunnock, down onto the Coast Road, following the Coast Road through the Black Arch, and then down onto the Prom, in the back at the Leisure Centre in Larne, down through kind of the housing estate down there, and then that brings you out then nicely out towards Fleet Street and onto the harbour. So some people will be familiar with the existing Ulster Way. So obviously once we get to Ballycoos, then there's the options to go further on across the Antrim Hills Way, Ulster Way, or follow the route down into the back of Ballygally. So obviously we've got spin-offs for walks for like the Cranny Falls whenever it's open and safe. There's Lead in Glenarm Forest. So there's plenty of kind of walks spin-off which we've sent through to Orkney already, which hopefully will be included kind of in the marketing whenever the time comes. In terms of capital works, our project was really small in comparison to some of the other projects, to be fair. So unfortunately you couldn't replace like for like, so we couldn't fix anything and take it out and put new stuff in. So really what we've done is we've put in 6 interpretation panels, so they kind of feature in the main villages. So there's one in Carnlough, Glenarm, at Feist and Linford Barrows, Carnfunnick, and then further on down in towards Larne. I think there's 2 in Larne. And then we've got about 20 waymarker finger posts, which are obviously placed where there are directional changes. The majority of the time, unfortunately, there's a couple of places where we weren't able to get permissions, be it through because it's DFI or whoever. So there's stickers. There could be existing brown signs for the likes of Carnfunnick or the Antrim Hills Way or whatever it may be, and we've just put an IAT sticker on it. Some of you might be familiar with the kind of the original brand, which we haven't been able to go away from in terms of the colour scheme, etc. So it's either a disc or a rectangular waymarker. The hope is that all the waymarkers will have already been changed over the Antrim Hills Way and the off-road section in through Straight Kelly. And then the only thing, we've everything in situ at the minute. The only thing I'll be up front and say there has been an issue with the wood that they've used for the interpretation panels, and there's been a few faults with those which need to be sorted out with the company that installed it for us. The only 2 things that are left to do are stone waymarkers, which kind of are following the whole way across. So we'll have one in Glenarm, which will be kind of the distance from Glenarm to Waterfoot, and then from Glenarm to Larne. And the Larne one will point, there'll be an arrow pointing backwards towards Glenarm, and then the arrow will tell you to go to Scotland. So once you get to Larne, the thinking is you're meant to hop on a ferry and head across to Scotland to pick up the IAT over there. So that's us. That's where we're at.
Super, Lisa. Thank you so much. As I said, we'll have time at the end, folks, for if anyone has any questions for any of us. But we'll power on now. The next section tonight, and actually, sorry, Lisa, I should have said, maybe we sent you earlier, it was up at Scott Hill, yeah.
Scott Hill,
yeah.
Scott, depends on who you're talking to.
I know it was a local told me off for
Robert should be able to tell us how to say it properly. He lives at the foot of it. So.
But no, the new styles and all over there are fantastic. Like, and they'll be great for like access for people and stuff as well. So that they look really well.
Just on that, Ethan, we've got people counters either side of that off-road section.
Okay.
And the numbers are really, really promising already. And obviously, you know, we're in unprecedented times, so the numbers will probably be a bit higher than normal anyhow. But the new style at the Feist and Road at Linford Barrows is definitely a vast improvement on what was there before with a large concrete step. So it's a bit better. So.
Yeah, no, it looked great. I've genuinely lost track of how many times I've been up there in the last while between photographs and videos and just doing scout walks and stuff to make sure we know what we're talking about when we're talking about the road. But anyway, so we have coming up now the presentation I mentioned earlier on. It's going to be half done by a colleague of ours, Beverly McGowan, and she's pre-recorded that. And then the second half, I will do that myself. The reason that it's sort of split that way is because the first half is sort of generic to all of the lag areas that the route goes through, and we want to we're making life easier for ourselves by using the same part of the presentation. But then I'll talk a little bit more about the specifics for the Mid-East Antrim Borough Council section. So this will give you a sort of an overview of the types of people that we've identified as being likely to visit the trail. As I mentioned, what services they require and ideas and how you can service them. As well as looking at a wee bit about gaps in the area. So, Kerry, if you want to load up the presentation there.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Beverly McGowan. I'm Outdoor Recreation NI's Marketing Manager, and I'm also leading the marketing project for the International Appalachian Trail Ulster, Ireland. And this evening my presentation is going to go over how local businesses can benefit from and service visitors to the trail. So just to give you an overview of the route itself, it's 280 miles in length, which equates to around 450 kilometres. And there in the black on the left-hand side, you'll see that it starts at West Donegal at Slieve League. It passes through the Blue Stack Mountains before then it picks up the Ulster Way in Northern Ireland. It goes through the Spurren Mountains, then up towards the Causeway Coast before making its way down through the Glens of Antrim and then finishing in Larne. So who's actually going to visit the trail? So based on previous research that we've done with other long distance trails, so the likes of the Southwest Coast Path and the Wales Coast Path, which you'll hear more about later on, we anticipate the majority of visitors will be short distance walkers. So 70 to 80% will be short distance walkers. So those that have maybe seen the trail on Facebook or their local newspaper and they want to experience it, but they certainly don't want to experience a long section of it. They just want to maybe walk 2 to 5 miles. And we will hear from Nicholson from the Wales Coast Path that the actual average stretch walked along it is actually just 3 miles long. And another group falling into this category would be previous long distance and through walkers that have walked the IAT, but they want to come back now and walk a short distance because they're maybe getting a wee bit older. Then a third of visitors we expect to be actual walkers, so medium to long distance walkers. So they'll be walkers that will walk maybe 10 to 15 miles per day over multiple days, over weekends, over weeks, or they will complete the route in its entirety. And those walkers will require walking specific services, which I'll go on to talk about. So this just breaks down the visitor even further, just gives you a wee bit more detail on their motivations and who they are. So first of all, the short distance walker, the IAT is only one part of their trip. They will be doing other things while they're here, and they really only want to experience a short section of it. They don't want to be on it all day long. They're still keen to hear about it and learn about the history of the trail, so they're keen to go on a guided walk. Then we have the actual walker, which is broken down into 3 groups. We've got the medium distance, the long distance, and the through walker. So the medium distance walker, they'll enjoy walking as part of, or it might be the main reason for their trip, and they'll complete 1 or more days walking, and they may book some walking services. Then we have the long distance walker, who's an enthusiastic walker, and definitely they will come and visit because it's the main reason for their trip. And they'll participate in 1 week of walking or completing large sections of longer distance trails, and they're very interested in bagging trails, so if you like, putting them on their bucket list. Then we have the through walker. The through walker will walk the IAT in 1 go. It's in its entirety. They're an avid walker, and you could say that they're someone seeking solitude, and they've completed other significant long distance trails before. And they are very self-sufficient, so they'll carry all their own food and pitch their own tent. So the requirement for walking services is less with the through walker. And through this marketing project, we'll be carrying out 2 marketing campaigns, one in Ireland and one in America, because of those links with the Appalachian Trail. There's lots of people in America who've done the Appalachian Trail that would be interested in completing this trail. So what services do they require? We'll start off with the short distance walker because that's going to be the majority of visitors. So again, as I mentioned before, they're keen to hear and learn about the trail, so that they are interested in going on a guided walk, a short guided walk, and they're keen to have refreshments and toilet stop maybe before or after their guided walk, and tea and coffee and scones. And then because one of the marketing campaigns we will be carrying out is in America, some Americans will have hire cars and some won't. So there may be a requirement for a shuttle service to and from their hotel to the start point of the different walks. The medium to long distance walker will require accommodation, food and drink, shuttle services to and from their hotel. They might require luggage transfers to their next accommodation, and some more so than the medium distance walker may require walk guides and learn about the trail as they go from the walk guide. So how can local businesses service these walkers? I understand that some businesses will be reluctant to offer services at the start until the trail is well established and attracting a significant amount of visitors. But again, it is like that chicken and egg scenario, that until there's walker services available and packages available, that's what's going to attract more walkers to the trail. So Based on who we anticipate that's going to visit the trail, we would recommend that local businesses focus on providing for that short distance walker, because at the end of the day that's going to be 70 to 80% of visitors. Whether it's offering guided walks, providing storytelling, partnering up with a local cafe to offer tea, coffee and scones before or after the walk, and if you can, provide shuttle services for those that may get to and from their accommodation. And even though the number of medium to long distance walkers initially will be lower until the trail is well established, it is still worth providing for that visitor, because that's still going to be a third of the visitors. So whether that's offering packages that include accommodation or packed lunches that walkers can take out with them during the day and when they're walking, and evening meals when they get back, whether there's walk guides for the longer distance sections of the trail, and offering shuttle services and luggage transfers as well. And don't forget, if you can't provide all of the visitor services in one package, then there's lots of people and lots of businesses on this call that you can partner up with and work collaboratively to provide for that visitor. So whether that's just a walk guide partnering up with a local cafe to offer tea, coffee and scones after their guided walk, it's all about working in partnership. So to help you stand out and be really proactive in attracting walkers to your business, there's some things that you can do just to tailor your current offering. So whether that's offering storage, washing and drying facilities for walkers' equipment, providing information on local IAT walks, so giving them access to the new IAT website, which will be IATUlsterIreland.com, and that will contain information on the route and all the walking services. You can stock the new trail guide that we're producing, provide information on local walk guides, offer shuttle services and luggage transfers if they're required, offering a hot drink after a long day's walking, which I know would be really welcomed, providing access to kitchen facilities early in the morning to for walkers to prepare food, or offer early breakfasts before they head out, providing walkers discounts. Something that's really useful and I really recommend all the businesses to do along the route is to recce the route and just really get to know it and put yourself in walkers' shoes just to understand what they might require. And then lastly is thinking maybe about becoming pet friendly, just because more and more walkers are going out walking with their dogs. And here's just some examples, just to give you a wee bit of inspiration of how these businesses are standing out and attracting walkers. So, discounts for walkers, or there's drying facilities. The two pictures on the right hand side are pictures from accommodation providers in America along the Appalachian Trail. So you've got some quirky walking boots just along the fence, and then you've got an Appalachian Trail sign within the accommodation. On the left hand bottom left, we've just got a sign outside a local pub for attracting, welcoming walkers and welcoming their pets. And then in the middle there is a coffee cart that it's actually set up along the lag and towpath, and they've got picnic tables all around it. So for walkers that are walking the lag and towpath, they can stop and have coffee and pastries and sit down and enjoy them. So from October time, Outdoor Recreation and I will be running 3 marketing campaigns that you can get involved in. So we'll be running one in Northern Ireland and Donegal, and we'll be doing launch events, and we'll be using those to kickstart those campaigns. We'll be running a campaign in Ireland, and then we'll be running a campaign in North America, just because of the links with the Appalachian Trail. So in North America, we'll be targeting those people that have walked the Appalachian Trail to come and do the International Appalachian Trail here. And then we will also, for the short distance walker, we will be using the likes of tour operators that have itineraries already in Northern Ireland and Donegal, and we will also be using Tourism Ireland to promote direct to the American consumer. Because we have such a limited budget in North America for that short distance walker, we want to focus on IAT walks that are close to areas that are famous and well known by the American visitor, and some places that they're already maybe going to visit anyway. So the likes of Loch Esk, Giant's Causeway, the Ulster American Folk Park. So there's two ways that you can get your business promoted. First of all, you can get a listing on the website itself. And then what you can also do is submit an IAT experience for the website, and we will use those experiences to promote in marketing campaigns. Now, there's nothing that you need to do really at the minute. Outdoor recreation staff will be in touch with you to help you and support you in creating and developing IAT experiences, or just simply tailoring your own offering. And we will also we can send content on the International Appalachian Trail Ulster Island. We can send photos, we can send videos, we can send press releases, so that you can promote the trail on your website and social media platforms too.
Okay, I will jump in here, folks. So hopefully you find that useful from Beverly in terms of identifying the walkers that are going to be coming, and the different sort of aspects of service provision that you are maybe already doing or could expand into. As a very short aside, I recently finished a great book that sort of puts you in the mind frame of what Appalachian Trail walkers are looking for. If anyone's familiar with Bill Bryson, he has a book, A Walk in the Woods, where he walked the American section of the trail 97, I think it was. But it's just a great thing because he does the through trail, in the sense he does long distance, but he also does short day walks, and it's just interesting to see the different things that and annoy him if they're there, and they make him really happy if they're there, sort of thing. So that's just a quick aside, as a pretty funny and delightful read. So, okay, if we can jump to the next slide there. As I said, I'm going to try and make this slightly more relevant to East Antrim. This map is, so this is an example, obviously, of the type of visitor services that already exist in the area. It is by no means comprehensive. So if your business is not there, do not panic. It's not that we do not know about you. It's that for the sake of this here slide, we are just using some examples to show where people are relative to the route. You can see from the key there that yellow is accommodation, blue is food and drink, and red is walking providers. And you can just make out the line of the blue line is where the trail follows. So the first thing probably to note from this map is that the East Antrim section isn't a particularly long part of the trail relative to the entire Ulster Island segment. So Lisa probably knows the figure off the top of her head better, but somewhere between, I think, maybe 16 and 20 miles, maybe slightly more from where it enters the council. And that sort of distance that a through walker would look to do in a day.
Ethan, I think it's 23 in total. So
23, perfect, Lisa, thank you. So it's not huge, but it's important for a couple of reasons that we'll get on to discussing. So the second thing to address is probably the bit that, like, I'm sure everyone's familiar with it. The northern section of it follows after Glenara, where it comes into East Antrim, involves a significant amount of walking along sort of busy coastal roads, and aesthetically pleasing in terms of your sea views, but slightly dangerous and not as desirable for walkers. So that's just something that we're aware of, and it's tailoring the marketing to make sure that walkers aren't expecting one thing and they get another when they come on the route. And it's important that service providers know that as well. South of Glenarm, though, the route obviously crosses to some like incredibly beautiful scenic areas in the glens, offering views to Scotland, and that in particular is something that has been identified in market research as being a real tick box. Like, you know, a lot of people really like the prospect of being able to see a different country from the country they're in, or a different land area from the country they're currently standing on. once you get through Carnfonic Country Park, it's sort of on the footpath there, so you have those sea views as you come down towards Larne, and it's obviously it's a very safe and comfortable section of the route. And you also have that Antrim Hill section as well. Aside from the views across the way, are just you get to see the glens and Slemish and that on a good day. So one of the other interesting bits about the Mini Antrim section of the trail is the sort of multitude of small towns and villages along the route, and that's very much not the case for a lot of the rest of the route. Nicholson Glens have it to an extent, but sort of coming through the Sperrins and across the border in Donegal, it's extremely rural. So basically what this means is we can bring in a lot more businesses without walkers having to go too far off the trail, which is quite important to them, that they don't have to go too far off the trail. So Kerry, if you jump to the next slide there. Essentially we have so basically, yeah, this is slightly the wrong slide, but it doesn't matter too much. I'll give you the content and we'll send out the proper slide afterwards. Sorry, Kerry, that was my fault. That's a remnant from the Art for Mana and Owen presentation. But basically what we want to look at is an analysis of the services that exist at the minute. And sort of, obviously the route runs north to south, and we find there to be essentially sufficient provision of accommodation and places to eat and drink throughout the entire length of the route. So, and again, that is not the case in a lot of different sections of the trail. The Mini Antrim section is really well positioned at the minute in terms of what the provisions that they can offer visitors. And that's basically thanks to the multitude of all those small villages along the way. Carnlough and Glenarm, Ballygally, and so on. So there is a gap in provisions in the hills from sort of Glenarm to Ballygally, but that is a relatively short section. You know, off the whole Mid and East Antrim section, that is a smaller again section, and it's not something we think walkers will be too concerned about. It is something if you have walkers that are in Glenarm going to Ballygally or vice versa, that you would let them know, you know, you need to be properly prepared because you'll not have a shop until you get there. But for people that are doing the full walk, it's not going to be a big issue. Excuse me. Accommodation, likewise, numerous, and an example of two of the different providers who have the potential to offer like a really unique experience for walkers is the Londonderry Arms, obviously with its links to Churchill and sort of that old world charm and coastal location in Carnlough is like perfectly located for walkers and would be a real treat and Instagrammable moment, to use the young kids parlance. Then you've also got Ballygally Castle, which overlooks the bay and again offers a really unique place for people to stay before they continue on along the coast of Larne. The walk-in provision element of things, again, the route's really well established. Glenarm Tourism, Milliken Tours, Glens of Antrim Tours, and a whole multitude of others. So that is something, again, that Mid and East Antrim is quite unique in the sense, you know, the Fermanagh and Owen presentation that we did 2 days ago, that there's no walking festival there, for example. So the Glenarm Walking Festival is a really great asset because service providers in the area are already used to walkers and what they're looking for, and have experience in sort of that element of things. It's worth probably just a quick note here to say that any given rural town or villages has the potential to develop into a destination attractive to walkers. So if you're in a town and you don't think it currently has a reputation, or if you're in a rural area that doesn't have a reputation for walkers, it's something that can be growing quite easily and quite, like, you know, within a couple of reviews of people that are passing through, it can quickly become a highlight of the route essentially. And that's what we're going to be there for as well. Outdoor Recreation are building all of the marketing tools to make sure that we can promote you all as much as possible and to put you sort of front and center. If you are offering a certain thing, if you're offering shuttle services or something related to the theme of the Appalachian Trail. Some of the main ones that are popular are geology, flora and fauna, and history. So nothing particularly difficult, but if you're able to incorporate anything like that there within your service provision, again, that's something that we can capitalize on and use to market further. So if we skip on there, Kerry, to the next slide. Yes, we're back to Minnie's answer for this one, which is good. So yeah, business opportunities, and that in terms of identifying where there are gaps in provision. As I mentioned there's no provision between Glenarm and Ballygally. If there is in theory the potential there for a food and drink stop at this length of the route, but it's not going to be a huge factor. Shuttle services are lacking a little in this section, especially if walkers are moving on via ferry from Larne or via plane in Belfast. So again, that's something that accommodation providers can consider whether they want to add it to their sort of list of perks for people to stay with. And it's those sort of perks that gradually build up the difference between places that are getting involved with the campaign and places that aren't. And again, walk-in provision, we have loads of that there, which is great, because again, accommodation providers can direct people, can direct walkers to local tour guides that know the area, and that's an industry that exists there. It's not having to be built up from scratch, which it is in other places. It's also worth noting that there has already been the proposal for a race along the full IAT route, which I think the plan is to take place in 2023. Lisa, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's a trail route going from Donegal and finishing in Larne. So obviously, I think they're kind of breaking it off into chunks. So they potentially will be looking, and I think the plan is to have some sort of a celebration at the end once they finish in Larne. So therefore, it would be ideal for our businesses in the area to capitalise on that. I don't know the ins and outs. It's kind of very early days yet, but they have brought it to our attention. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's not like this is going to be huge numbers of people, particularly for a race this big, but sort of two things. It shows that already there's a development of the awareness of the route within sort of the Ulster Ireland segment. And secondly, it's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of word of mouth and growth for the trail. So that's just one small example of where we're starting to see interest grow, and we're going to do our best to capitalize on, and where those benefits that service providers in the area, if they decide to become involved with a campaign and get in touch with ourselves, and can really benefit, hopefully. So that is basically everything from me from this presentation. We have one final bit to do, and that is Eve Nicholson that I mentioned earlier from Wales Coastal Path. And I will, Kerry, if you can throw that over. Yeah, I'll mention that there slide at the end, but we'll go to Eve's video. And as I said, Eve has included her email address at the end of this, so you can take that down, or you can contact us for if you have any questions you'd like this to pass on to Eve. She's been really helpful to us all. So yeah, Kerry, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, I'm Eve Nicholson, and I work for the Wales Coast Path team here in Wales. We've been asked by the Outdoor Recreation Northern Ireland to talk about how we engage with businesses along the way. Firstly, let's introduce ourselves. The Wales Coast Path is 870 miles long, and it is a footpath that follows the entire Welsh coastline. It was officially launched open for business in May 2012 as one of the few coastal footpaths in the world around the country. We do a variety of business to business and business to consumer marketing activities, and we work very closely with Visit Wales, which is the tourism arm of Welsh Government, and Welsh Government, who are the funders of the path. We have a dedicated team of path officers covering all of those marketing sectors that you see on the image, as well as a small marketing team. If you have time, there is a video there which is basically an overview of what the path means to different people through drone footage and interviews. The path also incorporates some well-used and existing walking routes that were already marketed as coastal walking routes, such as the Isle of Anglesey in North Wales, Ceredigion in Midwest, and it also includes the Pembrokeshire Coast Path in the west, which is already part of the Appalachian Trail. So who are our target audiences? So when I was thinking about who we actually target, I was thinking of the types of behaviours and kind of the trends that our audiences display on our social media, and also the people who we've met along the way on the path. And these are the kind of traits that really spring to mind. So we have those who are adventurous, who already know about the path and they're all very enthusiastic walkers anyway. They tend to want to through hike or walk the path over a long period of time, and some do it over 5, 6, 7 years, so there's lots of repeat visits. We have those who are just find out about the path and they are seeking more information, they're enthusiastic with the information they have to hand, and they just want to start walking it. Then we have those new audiences who have yet to discover the Wales Coast Path, and recently new audiences for us have been the Welsh youth movement. So we've been working with the Urdd, which is the national voluntary youth organisation here in Wales, as well as the Brownies, and also the National Churches Trust. We also market to coastal accommodation providers, such as those B&Bs, those campsites and hotels along the path, the travel trade, tour operators and travel agents with Visit Wales, and also coastal businesses, which may be cafes, shops, kiosks, that really make walking the path an experience. So those are the people who we market to on a B2B basis. So here are some key audience insights into our customers. Our 2015 visitor survey found that there was a nearly equal split between male and female visitors, and the average age of 53 years old. This is actually in reverse to what's on our social media following. On Facebook in particular, we have more females, but same age range. So that's quite an interesting observation. 59% of the Wales Coast Path walkers who were included in the survey actually resided in Wales, but there was also a large proportion of walkers from the Northwest England, Southwest Wales and the Midlands. The average spend is around £4.63 whilst on the path, so spending money on, say, drinks, a bit of food and things like that, and the average distance walked was 3 miles. Whilst we've been walking on the path, we've seen people from overseas, we've seen families, but we've also seen groups. So there's quite a variety of walkers on the path. So when we were asked how businesses have adapted to the path and its visitors, I did a quick Google search and I found these 2 hotels, both based in the southwest coast in Wales on the Gower Peninsula. Now you will see from the screenshots of their websites is that they know what their visitor wants, what the walker wants. So for example, the hotel on the left hand side, they have a dedicated walking page. They offer walking itineraries to take away, but they also offer facilities aimed at walkers specifically. So that's things like offering a packed lunch, somewhere dry to dry their clothes, and provision of maps, which is always a really, really good thing, and those good things to offer. And the same with the one on the right, They actually link to our website to give their guests more information to help them plan their visit to the Wales Coast Path and to their accommodation. So this particular coastal accommodation really sprang to mind in terms of the way they market themselves on social media. So Aberporth Coastal Holidays, they are in West Wales on Ceredigion, and this is a screenshot of their Instagram account. Now, the first thing that really strikes me is their inspirational content mixed in with details of their offer. So it's mainly about what you would find there in terms of the stunning scenery and the things to do. And when we spoke to them, they said they learned that the Coast Path is a really big draw for their visitors. So what they do now on their social media posts is that they put some detailed walks on their Instagram account. They do plenty of videos and they use our hashtags, and most importantly they tag us on their posts, and that's really good because it means that we can reshare, we can comment on all their great content, and it's good for customers to see what they're expecting. The one thing that I really did like about this particular social media account is that on the right hand side there, they have easy to access highlights. So there you see guest reviews, they have a bit about Coast Path, the beaches, the Aberporth and days out. And these are really easy to access information for their visitors. And the one thing that you probably can't see much on the actual presentation, but they've also put a window sticker in their window. Now, on previous business engagement events, we gave out window stickers which said Wales Coast Path welcoming walkers, and we encouraged the business at the time to put these up in their window for passing trade. And it's really as a way of raising brand awareness physically on the path, because it's 870 miles long, but you won't see a way marker, say, every mile, every 2 miles. So when you come to places along the path where there's buildings, it was important for us that there was a physical awareness of the logo and our ethos, and so they've taken on board and put the sticker in their window, which is really good for both of us, really. So thinking about the other businesses that we market to about the path, we thought of Anglesey Walking Holidays. So they specialise in guided coastal walks, and they also do those extra things like accommodation booking, providing maps, and working with other local businesses, for example eateries, on suggestions on where to eat. And not only do they do walking holidays, they also offer cycling holidays, so there's an extra bit of activity that their walkers could do as well. The second business that we thought of was the Llyn Coastal Bus Service. Now, this was initially a 2-year trial using grants from public sector, and now it's part of a Welsh Government transport initiative to have buses running in certain parts of Wales. Now, the USP for this service is that there is no fixed route or timetable, so walkers can book their space on the bus from wherever they start or finish on the path via phone or online booking. Now, this is a really big draw for this particular bus service because they're servicing a section of the path that has very little or no public transport on popular walking days. So they're available from Friday to Monday for a small fee. And the bonus about this is that it's also being used by locals along the coast path as well. So when we were asked about best practices in promoting the Wales Coast Path, we immediately thought of the experience of being on the path. So walking the Welsh coastline and soaking up our heritage and our unique language along the way is our USP. And trade insights found that when people come to Wales, they want an authentic experience. When they're out in the open, they want something uniquely Welsh. And also research shows that people like multi-activity holidays. So combining, say, walking with a bit of cycling, a bit of shopping and things like that. So with those insights in mind, we worked with Snowdonia Active, a not-for-profit organisation, which operates as a consultancy delivering projects linked to outdoor recreation, tourism and conservation in Wales. And as a part of an existing project, they were putting together a collection of memorable experiences. And these encourage the visitor to bond with Wales via distinctive and engaging products. So we thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. Let's see how this can work for Wales Coast Path and walking. So we ran a webinar and it was aimed at businesses or individuals to see how they can combine their business or interest with the path. So the experience that is exampled here is a wild swim adventure with the Blue Tits. So the Blue Tits are a group of people who love swimming in the sea no matter what the weather is. So their experience, their offer is walk the coast path in Pembrokeshire and finish off with an organised swim in the sea followed by a hot drink and great company. And this is quite a unique experience and it gives our Wales Coast Path visitors a little bit of added extra value to their time in Wales. And we just thought that combining the Wales Coast Path walking with other experiences, it just gives a more rounded holiday experience. So how do we optimize or make the most of the customer journey along the path for customers to be able to experience the coast path at its best? So in terms of the reach part of the diagram here, we make sure that we have good quality visitor information on our website. So adhering to search engine optimization principles is really important so that people can find us easily online. We also use social media to deliver good content suited to our customers. So we share our walking itineraries according to what's trending or relevant at the time. So when it comes to summer holidays, we push out our family itineraries. And we also do printed leaflets about the path. And we get those distributed all over Wales as well as inland areas to coastal accommodation, so B&Bs, campsites. We also do them where there's high footfall, such as supermarkets and libraries, and also at transport hubs, such as service stations and key areas where people enter Wales. We try and get people to act upon our marketing efforts. So for example, we encourage people to join our Facebook community group. And this has been extremely popular during the summer where people were doing staycations because of the pandemic. And so we had a lot of people joining the community group asking where's the best place to start and putting up inspiring pictures of their walks on the path. And this is a really good social listening tool for businesses to see what questions are people asking and see whether your business can plug those gaps in information. We also want people to download our Wales Coast Path app. We use augmented reality and drone footage and games on our app to help people discover the path in a different way, in a more fun way. But we also have a track my walk function, which is really aimed at those people who want to walk the path for for long periods of time and to track their walk. And we also want people to download or share our walking itineraries on their social media. In terms of the Convert, we have our newsletters, which goes out as and when there are really relevant things to talk about. And we have a mixture of B2B and B2C subscribers. We roughly have about 1,400 subscribers at the moment. Each newsletter has a bit of stuff about current work and forward look, and it links to our marketing toolkits where appropriate. So these are really good also kind of things to catch up on, so that you know where we're going with our marketing and promotional activity. We want to engage with people on the path, so we definitely encourage user-generated content by sharing and commenting and and liking. And with the Aberporth Coastal Holidays social media account on Instagram, that's a prime example of really using good imagery of where you are on the path to inspire, enthuse and help people discover a different part of the Wales Coast Path. We also do live streams on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram where possible. Again, that real life feed is really engaging and it can be easily shared on social media channels. So how do we help businesses optimize the path? Well, we have developed a series of marketing toolkits. So the one on the far left is a marketing toolkit designed at any coastal businesses. And so this is basically a guide on how to use the pulling power of the Wales Coast Path, with top tips and insights in what we promote about the path, giving ideas such as packed lunches, providing maps, showing their visitors where they can walk. And the more information that people have at accommodation, the better, and they can decide then on where they want to go. We've also put together a travel trade toolkit. We saw that there was a bit of a gap in our information provision, and we have been targeting businesses but not the travel trade. So we worked with Visit Wales on developing a travel trade toolkit, and with this we put together details on where to stay, getting about, cruise port facilities, things to do, where to shop and where to eat and drink, and all that essential information for a tour operator or travel agent to put together for their customers. We've also put together official professional imagery and video, and these are all accessible on our social channels, and they're free to download and free to use in their promotional marketing as well. So I've come to nearly the end of my presentation. This is where you can find further information about us. So these are the links to our website and our social channels, but also the toolkits. You can find us online using the handle @Wales Coast Path, and we're on the main platforms, and those are hashtags, and if you have any queries you can easily email us on that email there. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you very much for listening. We hope that we've given you a little bit of inspiration, a few ideas on how we've engaged with businesses along the Wales Coast Path, and thank you.
Super. I'm always tempted to thank Eve, but then I remember she isn't actually currently on the call, but I'm sure everyone's grateful because seeing sort of an insight like that from one of the most successful rural walks in the UK and Ireland is really useful, really beneficial. So Kerry has the email address up on the screen there. So if anyone wants to take that down, you can do so. And again, as I said, you can pass on any questions you have for Eve to us, and we'll do our best to get the answers for you. So there's only really one last slide, folks, and that was just to say, and it touches on what Eve was saying as well, about the importance of integrating experiences with the actual walking trail. So Eve's examples there were the likes of the Blue Tits, which is a fantastic sort of novel thing that would attract a lot of people, obviously, when they're out doing the trail. So that is the plan from Outdoor Recreation. One of the elements we want to incorporate is as many activities that we can add as a wider package to the International Appalachian Trail here. And I will be getting in contact with businesses. It's not a different Ethan. It is, I didn't write this, that's why it's sort of it's in third person, so to speak. So I'll be getting in touch. But just to say, if anyone has any urgent ideas that come in your head and you're afraid of forgetting it by the time I'm contacting you in the next sort of fortnight, that's my email address there. Feel free to drop me a message. Or if you happen not to have heard from me, then likewise you can get me on there. So I think we'll just finish up. It's 8:05. We've done quite well actually for time. So if anyone has any questions, then feel free to shout away.
No, I haven't got a question, but I just wanted to comment that it's really fascinating, the opportunities that are available for us going forward. And I think we can all think of all ideas that we could. I'm thinking of you, Karen, from your story to tell and perspective and so forth. So, no, it looks good.
Yeah, well, the first thing that struck me was what you said, Ethan, about the danger of people walking on the road on that stretch from Glenarath. But then I thought of the section from Glenarm, you know, the coastal path that goes out of Glenarm south towards Larne, towards the Madman's Window. And I'm thinking that could be an experience where people walk a part of the trail and maybe have some stories along the route. Now, there would be local stories, so I hope, you know, I'm trying to think, is there any way of tying in the history of the Appalachian Trail with the storytelling experience? I don't know.
Absolutely. Karen, yeah, so basically the experiences don't need to be directly on the trail. And the Madman's Window is a great example of something that's just off the trail, but worth going over to see. And one of the things we've been doing on social media actually is, so we have a IAT Ulster Ireland Instagram page. And one of the things that I've been trying to start is a Tales from the Trail section, where it's basically just me walking and talking to people. So we were down actually at the Madman's Window last week with a guy from the area, and it was just me asking him what it was about, and he explained about how the man whose wife or lover had gone to sea and came back, and he stayed there the rest of his life and went mad waiting for her. So what's that?
Was that Colin Irwin?
Oh, it was Phelim.
Oh, no, different guy.
No, sorry. So yeah, I mean, that's absolutely something that we want to build up, and that's again something activity providers can do, is send that to us. Like, have it on your own channels, absolutely, but like, take your phone out, go to somewhere that's interested along the trails, talk to the camera and tell people a story, put it on your own channels and send it to us, and we would tag you in our social media and try and promote it that way. So yeah, that's just one small example of something that we would love to do and love to build on.
And would you, if you did that, would you want like a whole story, or would you just want a short snippet? I mean, what sort of length would you be talking about?
I would say like as long as possible, as long as possible, in the sense we can cut it down if need be, and we can do like a teaser, like a short, here's a snippet. If you're interested in this, like tap here and they can watch the full thing. So I would say just do as long as you want on it, Karen, and then we can sort of fix it up ourselves.
Yeah, even if, you know, anyone isn't comfortable, or if someone, you know, doesn't have a lot of social media experience, if you just film it, take a video on your smartphone or on your device, you email it through to us, we can work our magic on it and kind of
Carrie's a genius.
So I mean, we can kind of play around with it, and like the more stories we get, the more content it puts out and the more attractive it makes the area look. So if someone goes, here, I've heard loads of stories from this area, we need to go, we need to walk this part, we need to meet the people that are telling these stories, it does nothing but good for you guys. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to go out and do stuff, or if you need some advice on, you know, send us an email and we'll be more than happy to help.
The two other things just on that. One is that we should be encouraging like an arms race of storytelling from each of the different lag areas, to basically that you want to be the area with the best and the most stories. I forgot what my second one was, because I was wondering why I used the phrase arms race. But yeah, as Kerry says, oh, sorry, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't need to be professional, and in fact, there's a real attraction to people if they see that it's real local people. That you don't even if you're not, yeah, if you don't want the camera pointing at you, you can walk around like showing the area you're talking about. Anything like that there is gold dust, to be honest, from a marketing point of view, because we're getting the local expertise and we're getting content that we're not having to pay some like arts creative head a lot of money to get. So there's a lot of benefits there for ourselves and for the trail as a whole.
Can I ask, is there going to be some kind of like a central website or some kind of thing there where, say, we're an accommodation provider there, where you can put up your wee advert? And I mean, is there going to be a particular sort of kind of format for that? And I mean, specific offers there? I mean, it's a
really good question, Michael. Yes, we do. Short answer to the first part is yes, we do have a website. I think it's IATUlsterIreland.com. It isn't live yet. We had hoped for it to be live by now, but we're having some technical issues. But it's the bones of it is there, and it will have accommodation providers, it will have food and drink providers, and it will have walk-in providers as well. And within the profiles of those pages, there will be space to talk about the different benefits that each of those areas are providing. I don't have a graphic to show you what it's going to look like, unfortunately. It's not fancy, it's straightforward, but it's intended to be, if someone's on the trail, they can look at their phone and quickly find the information that they're looking for. It's not particularly. I
don't know if you're aware there. I mean, the local Glens of Antrim cluster, we had a website there, for all the local businesses there. So in actual fact, there's already kind of like a
database
that's there, of all the. I mean, Kelly would be able to sort of kind of tell you about all that. And I mean, that's sort of kind of there, and there's already profiles up there for a lot of local businesses and a lot of accommodation providers. I was just going to ask as well, is it Lisa there? Is there any chance of sort of kind of getting Slemish into the publicity information? I know, because I mean, obviously we've got a vested interest in that, but it's sort of kind of.
Yeah, Michael, one of the first jobs I did when I came into outdoor recreation was to do a trail which included all of the bunkhouses, which Zoe tasked me to do. So there's a spin-off trail sitting there that would be ideal if we could get the funding to be able to do that. But I think in the short term, the way Orny have kind of looked at it is mainly just the walks off the route. But there's nothing to say that when people arrive, there's obviously going to be those links to establish with the likes of Slemish, because it's iconic. And you can see it from Scat, so people will see it, and there'll be a lot of that information there, and we would look to the likes of Robert and Seamus, etc., obviously to tie all of that in too. And there is, I mean, depending on the walker and depending if when they're here, if they do want to do the full Antrim Hills way, they can go the whole way to Slemish from Linford. Now it's a fair old trek, like, but but it's doable. But yeah, no, we would be working along with the tourism clusters with Zoe and Orny to try and promote as many of kind of our accommodation providers and those spin-offs for people whenever they're here as well. So Zoe will definitely be making sure she'll be fighting your corner up there too.
Yeah. And I suppose just initially, whenever we were kind of doing the gap analysis, I was in charge of doing an industry audit. So we had just looked at businesses that are directly on the trail or within kind of a 5 kilometer, I have a sensor light on. So businesses that were directly on the route or within a 5 kilometre radius of the route. So that's why kind of initially everything has been really tight in, and there hasn't been too much, separation of businesses that are too far off it. But now that we're kind of starting to build up a database of businesses, it's worth knowing that there's additional stuff out there and giving people the option, because not everyone wants to stay on the trail, not everyone will kind of be there. So there might be some people that are staying in one place but going and walking and then coming back to somewhere else. So it's definitely worth us looking into that and having an additional source if it's there.
Michael, can I get that email?
Can I jump in there? I'm Sharon Scott, and I'm the manager for the Daira Rural Tourism Project, which goes through Glenarm and Carnlough. So there's a whole database gathered there already. Some of the Karen and Mary are both on that, and there's quite a number of businesses. So we can supplement what you've done there just through research that we've been doing on the ground more recently.
That's ideal.
Amazing.
And we've also just been awarded funding through the Tourism NI Product Development Fund to help support about 21 experiences in those areas. So that's something else that will be rolled out between now and March.
Super. That's really good to know.
Well, Sharon, do you have our email address that you'd be able to?
Yeah, I'll drop you an email straight away, yeah. I was actually challenging the Mary and just through the WhatsApp group there to get on and get the blue tits equivalent and Glenarm and Carnlough going.
Here, it would like wild swimming is all the rage these days.
We have a very active group of, there's the Ballygally Chili Dippers.
Ballygally Chili Dippers.
But Carnlough is just that wee bit more exposed. So I think that's why it's kind of not really just big. But Glenarm's definitely.
There's a few.
Yeah, there is. There's Drains Bay. We've got.
Yeah. Just goes for it. No wetsuit, nothing like that. Just
you have to go skins, Mary. There's no point in getting the wetsuit. That's cheating.
I just found out yesterday we have the blue tits in Carrickfergus, so you could ask them to go a wee bit further down.
Well, I mean, the Ballygally girls, a lot of the Ballygally girls would be kind of from Larne across, and they would do Island McGee, Drains Bay, up in Carnlough and stuff. So it's trying to kind of promote that. We've a local guy from Ballymena here who does a lot of coaching, and he would do a lot along our coastline and also into Waterfoot. So in terms of, I was quite shocked at £45 for a session to go out with the blue tits. Like Chris charges 45 quid for 4 weeks training, so he definitely needs to up his prices. But we're seeing a huge growth in outdoor egg in the borough. So we have there's a couple of ladies in Island or Whitehead hoping to start up kayak tours.
Stand-up paddleboarding.
There's stand-up paddleboarding in Island McGee. You've got Robert, who's got storage and stuff in Twilight in Carnlough. So there's definitely scope for growth in this. So I mean, water-based and land-based activities are going through the roof. So like we have an outdoor recreation strategy which we're trying to start to get a bit of kind of momentum going with it. So as these providers start to increase and we can see a bit more, and supposedly we're getting a water sports centre in Carnlough, which was news to me. But as these things develop, then there's going to be so much more scope for people to get that experiential tourism package together. And I know you guys have all worked really closely together with Zoe and your cluster groups to start to develop all that sort of stuff anyway. So loads of scope. I might actually leave council and set up, you never know.
There's plenty of opportunity. No, I could just add as well, sorry, again, I'm also facilitator of the Causeway Coastal Route, so there's 132 members on that, so it's obviously across 2 council areas, but I think there's about 90 in the Mid and East Antrim, one in the Glens, and also I have to wear my other hat. I'm chair of Mid and East Antrim Rural Development, so we talked about this trail for many years. So delighted that we finally got off the ground, because I know it has been very difficult with land ownership and different issues and things. So I'm delighted to see it finally getting over the line. So
yeah, it's probably, I hope it's not like mood saying, but it's just so that people know, it's actually like, this is something that we genuinely care about. Like everyone at Outdoor Recreation loves outdoors, and it's not just a project. Like we all, like Carrie and me have walked like a fairly sizable chunk of the route, and as we with a couple of different members of the team. So we do know the area, and like Northern Ireland and Donegal, it's not a huge area. So the fact that we can potentially bring real growth and support to sort of rural communities and different sections of the province is really exciting. I guess. Also, Ballygally Chili Dippers is one of the most delightful phrases to say. It's a great name, but yeah, Michael. Yes, sorry, that's what I was going to ask. Michael, the website you mentioned of your group, could you shout it out to me there, please?
About the address, Glens of Antrim. Oh God, I haven't got it on me at the minute. There's two of them. There's one of them.
Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, sorry. There's Kelly will be able to tell you. Sure, I'm sure she would have it off.
No problem. Look, we'll get it. I'll get it off somebody, and
I'll probably give it to you on an email there. I used to be I think I'm still formally the secretary, but basically Kelly sort of kind of taken over most of that role.
But we don't look after, or I don't look after the website now, Michael.
No, what's happening to that website? Do you know?
I'm not involved in that, so I don't know. But it's visit antrimglens.com.
Visit antrimglens.com. That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
I think Natalie has been updating things, Michael, because she's been asking for a few bits and pieces to go on it. So.
Who is that? Sorry.
Natalie Bodle.
Oh, Natalie. Okay, is she doing it now?
I think she's involved with it. But no, just so everyone know, I think the core data for accommodation businesses, hospitality activities and everything I kind of had supplied. So I think, we have covered the majority. It's just quite difficult at times at the minute because over the last year or two, there's been businesses closed, businesses opening, but I think, everything that we have provided for the website is relatively up to date.
Super.
And that website, is it going to go live at some I mean, do we need to upload sort of kind of profiles onto there? Or
no, I'll be calling around, Michael, and getting people's information or asking you to send it to me, and then we'll upload it ourselves on that side. The other thing I would say is that all of that content we're gathering in terms of the photographs, in particular the photographs, is stuff we're happy to share. If you want to put something on your website that is related to the International Appalachian Trail here, then by all means drop us a shout. And we have I'm not just saying this because I was sort of organizing it, but the photos we have are amazing. Brian Morrison, if anyone's familiar with him, was our photographer, and he I would say is one of the best photographers in the country at what he does. So if anyone does want any of those photographs for the website or social media or anything like that there, then you can just give us a shout. And come here, it's great hearing you can hear that people are excited about this, which is really rewarding as well. So if does anyone have any other questions before we call it for the night? No. Well, as I was saying, if you do, my email address was up there, ethan@outdoorrecreationni.com. I know it's quite long. I'll say it one more time just in case anyone wants it, but Ethan, ETHAN, @outdoorrecreationni.com. And yeah, we'd be happy to help you out however we can. And yeah, I think that's everything from us, folks. As I say, I'll be in touch in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And yeah, thank you so much for coming out tonight and giving up your chunk of your evening for us.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Gary.